So for playing poker, that would be partially observable, I think, because you can see your own hand, but you can't see your opponent's hands.
That's true.
It would be stochastic because you don't know what cards are going to be dealt and when. It would be discrete because there are only a theoretically finite number of hands, although the number of hands is very, very large. And it would definitely be adversarial. You're trying to win, your opponent is trying to win, and only one of the two of you can generally win.
That's true. Well, recognizing handwritten text is a pretty hard problem. Well, let's see. Is it partially observable? Not really. When given a sample of handwritten text, you can see the whole thing. Is it stochastic? I'm going to say yes, because the patterns that are generated by human hands can vary a lot, and there might be a lot of randomness in there. What about continuous? One way to think about it is how many different states or conditions the environment could be in. In this case, if the environment or the inputs that need to be represented are the image pixels, then there are a lot of different possibilities. Although those possibilities are actually finite in number, the underlying representation, the underlying thing that's creating them is continuous. Not really adversarial. It's not really a game, and we're not competing against anyone.
Nah. For driving on the road, for something like a self-driving car, that's an interesting question. It can certainly see a lot about its environment, but it can't see its entire environment. It can't, for example, see whether there's a car coming around the next corner or anything, even though that already exists in the environment. So I would say it's partially observable, not completely observable. Whether or not it's stochastic or deterministic could be a pretty deep philosophical problem about whether or not humans themselves are deterministic, but I'll say that for the purpose of the autonomous vehicle, it's definitely a stochastic problem. There are definitely things it can't anticipate or can't predict, even with all the information in the world. It's definitely a continuous problem just because of the nature of real-world information. And I'm going to say it's not adversarial, although if you've ever seen me drive, you might disagree about whether or not driving is an adversarial problem.
Okay. So the last one we have is playing chess. It's definitely not partially observable. It's just like tic-tac-toe, where you can see the entire board. And it's also not stochastic, because when you make a move, you know exactly what the result would be. And since there are only a finite number of states, again, a huge number of states, but still finite, I would say it's not continuous either. Lastly, it is adversarial because you're playing against an opponent.